Hey, what is up, everyone? I was going to do like a recap slash review of last week's episode, the Six Thatchers, but I was so busy with work and other commitments, it just didn't get done. But I really wanted to talk about the newest episode of Sherlock season 4, and that is The Lying Detective. Now, this was a massive step up from last week. I enjoyed last week's episode. People are on the fence about it. Some people hate it, some people love it, some people are just, I personally really like the episode, but this episode was miles better. Now, this will contain spoilers. This review or recap here will contain spoilers for both the Six Thatchers and The Lying Detective. So if you haven't seen either of them, then catch up on Sherlock and come straight back. But anyway, for those who have seen it and want to talk about Sherlock, let's go straight into it. So the episode starts off straight away with Watson in therapy, which, why wouldn't he be? His wife was killed in front of his eyes. He blames Sherlock for it because she took the bullet for Sherlock. And obviously Sherlock's in a deep depression as well. He hasn't left his house. So that's how we're set up and introduced back to these characters. And straight away, we're feeling bad for them both, because it wasn't actually Sherlock's fault entirely that Mary died, but at the same time you really feel for Watson because he loved her, and the whole thing with him cheating on her and all that sort of stuff, it really did bring to the surface, a lot. So props to both Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch. They did so well in this episode. And Mary does feature in this episode. You see her quite a lot. Watson's hallucinating that he's seeing her. And at the same time, we're getting hallucinations of Sherlock as well, because he's overdosed on heroin. So it's classic Sherlock, really. And it even affects Sherlock's, his mind palace when he's trying to put things together. And it's interesting because you can see that his brain's still working in the same way, but it's slower, and he's picking up on things slower, and that's because of the heroin and the drugs that he's taking. And I like that they're going back to the classic Sherlock Holmes character. They're not holding back on who Sherlock Holmes is. So I really like that they're doing that. And this is definitely the best Sherlock Holmes I've ever seen on screen. I like that he's a modern day Sherlock Holmes as well. He's using Twitter and things like that. But the thing that really makes this episode great is Toby Jones. He is so unsettling to watch. Now, the guy is a good actor. He was in, Captain America: The First Avenger. He's been in some great things, and I like the dude as an actor. But in this, he was so good. He plays the villain of the show, but throughout the show, you're guessing whether he's a villain or not. And it's still hard to guess until the very end of the episode. But he just did so well. He has a presence on screen. Every time he's on screen, you know that there's something wrong with the dude, and you know that there's something not right about him, but you can't quite pinpoint what it is. And you really are on Sherlock's side and thinking that he's a serial killer or something like that. But there's so many things that detract the whole serial killer vibe from him. Like, he's doing this ad campaign for a cereal, and he calls himself a serial killer. And that's where Sherlock might get his ideas from, and he attacks him in like a morgue, and you can see, like, it shows flashbacks, and he's like on heroin, he's high, and it's like, okay, so maybe Toby Jones's character was just sort of a loophole, he was sort of what do you call it, a red herring in the show. Maybe he's just there to make you think that he's the villain, but he's not. It's actually all in Sherlock's mind. But no, Sherlock does go into a sort of, not really a coma because he's awake, but he does overdose and he's in the hospital, and then Toby Jones's character comes back and tries to kill him, and you're like, shit, Sherlock was right the whole time. But Toby Jones' character wasn't the mastermind behind it all, and you actually find out that there was a third Sherlock sibling, a third Holmes sibling, which we find out from Mycroft. And that was great. It was such a great twist at the end, because in the previous episode, The Six Thatchers, obviously we know that Watson was cheating on Mary with the woman he met on the bus. And it turns out that that's also his therapist, but at the same time she had disguised herself as Faith, who was the daughter of Toby Jones's character. I keep saying that because I can't actually remember his character's name, but he was a cool character. I loved him. But so Faith is the daughter, but she disguises herself but it's actually the Holmes sibling that is disguising herself. And it's not, if not even Sherlock Holmes can figure that out, you know that the finale, we're going to face some trouble, or at least Sherlock and Watson are going to face some trouble. And I can't wait to see it. It's going to be agony waiting for that next episode, because it feels like it's so far away. But I booked cinema tickets to see it. I can't wait. I am 100% hyped to see it. And I'm hoping that they do deliver on all of the questions that I have about this episode. But it was just such a good episode. It was well crafted. All of the hallucination and the dream sequences, they really fit in well. There was nothing jarring about this episode. With the last episode, there were a few jarring things, like because we kept going back in time or forward in time, and it does become a bit jarring. But in this one, it is not. It is a completely better episode. The plot is much better. It has better character development for Watson and Sherlock. There's a lot to be said about both of them in this episode. We know that Sherlock's gone down a dark path. The very end of the episode, we see the third Sherlock. Why do I keep saying Sherlock? The third Holmes sibling. Imagine if their last name was just Sherlock. It'd be Sherlock. Why do I keep saying that? But what I mean is the third Holmes sibling does shoot Watson in the end, and I'm thinking that it might sort of lead into Moriarty, because when she revealed herself, I was thinking at first, okay, maybe it's Irene Adler, because Sherlock gets a message from her and we hear it on his phone. But then I was thinking, hold on, no, it's Moriarty, because there's things to link it. And this show's pretty ridiculous. We saw Mrs. Hudson driving around like speeding in an Aston Martin, so if Moriarty had disguised himself as a very convincing woman, it wouldn't be that far-fetched. But I was thinking that, but then it is the sibling, and she shoots Watson, and the screen just cuts to black, and it is the hypest cliffhanger, and it just made me so excited for the next one. But obviously he's not going to die, because he's one of the main characters, and I'm guessing they want to continue the series after this. If they don't, then fair enough, maybe he does. But we won't find out until next week. But I'm thinking maybe if he does survive, there might be something to link that to Moriarty's death, because he's kind of back. We keep getting the whole miss me thing come up in this show, because Mary left a message on a disc that said miss me on it, but obviously at the end of season 3 of Sherlock, we saw Moriarty on the screen asking Sherlock if he missed him. So I'm thinking he could probably come back for the finale. But then again, he was in that Christmas episode, and Sherlock sort of erased him from his mind, so maybe that was the whole thing to do with that. Maybe it won't lead in at all, but I'm hoping it does. Maybe Moriarty has something to do with all this. Maybe it'll explain how he survived, and maybe if Watson survives, that's how Moriarty survived. I don't know. There is a lot that needs answering, and we only have 6 days to wait till we get those answers, so let's just all anticipate that and hope that it's as great as this episode. So Sherlock the Lying Detective was one of the better episodes of Sherlock that I've seen. It was so good, it was so cinematic in feel, and it really did something for me. It really did bring back the Sherlock that I remember, because last week, like I said, I enjoyed the episode, but it was different to what we'd seen. This one is classic Sherlock, and yeah, I just can't wait to see what direction they take the next episode in. So what did you think of Sherlock the Lying Detective? Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy it as much as the Six Thatchers? Did you enjoy that one more? Let me know, and let's all get excited for Sherlock the Final Problem. So yeah, that title itself just has a lot of mystery surrounding it, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.